Hello and welcome once again to Buckwheat Farms Magic Emporium and Ballroom. This is Introduction to Chaos Magic, Episode 3. In Episode 1, I told you briefly about my venture into Chaos Magic and how I went from being a Charismatic Christian pastor to Chaos Mage. In Lesson 2, we began to study the 7 principles of the Kybalion, which with the first principle is that all is mental. The universe is mind, that everything is thought. Today we will look at the second Hermetic principle. That is the principle of correspondence. It says, as above, so below, as within, so without. The sages say this principle is one of the most dynamic principles as far as understanding the workings of the universe, and even those universes and those realms that are beyond our physical senses. As above, so below, as within, so without. You've heard me talk about the hologram and how each individual piece of the hologram represents has the entire hologram imprinted upon it. There's an old adage that says they will tell you who they want you to think they are, but they will show you who they really are. And that is just a real world principle, real world application of this principle, that what's within you will come out when you're squeezed. And we talked about this in the Chaos Magic class, or Introduction to Chaos Magic meeting. I don't say class because I learn as much from them as they learn from me. We learn from each other. But this idea of when you're squeezed, what comes out? And when you're squeezed, what's truly within you will come out. And that's the thing, that the meditative practice. And I hope you're in the meditative practice. I hope you're remembering to meditate and think on whose thought is that. And begin to change that inside, because there is no way for you to present to the world what you don't have within. This goes back to the first principle, and I write a little bit about it in an essay or a story, vocal story called "All You Need Is Love," in that the whole golden rule thing, love your neighbor as you love yourself. When we talk about it, you can't give something you don't have, and if you don't have self-love, there's no way for you to love others. If you don't have forgiveness, there's no way for you to forgive others. See, we try to live this life from the outside in. We try to let the outside influences dictate what is going on inside of us. But when you determine, you set your thermostat, you set your desires, you set your enthusiasm, you decide. Every morning I walk in and I talk to my dad and ask him how he's doing, and his standard reply is either, "Oh, all right," or "pretty good for an old man." And that's exactly what he'll get, because he's set his internal temperature. So part of what we're doing with Chaos Magic is understanding that internal temperature and that internal systems can be reprogrammed, not just within ourselves, but within our entire environment, so that we can use that to change our world. The first step towards doing that, and the most important, is to live as if. When Charlene and I used to run a street ministry down on Houston Avenue when I was a pastor, we would, on Friday nights, we'd have all the not all, but pretty much all the neighborhood kids would gather in our little church building, and we would cook hot chocolate and popcorn and watch movies and just hang out. I mean, these were kids whose, most of them were fatherless households, very little parental supervision, very little parental involvement whatsoever, and they would just hang out. And one of the kids, he would talk about how he wanted to be an NBA player. Well, one day I asked him, I said, "Well, how much are you practicing? How much are you doing? What skill sets are you working on? What drills?" "Oh, I'm not doing any of that." I just want to be an NBA player, and I've been told I can be whatever I want to be. Well, it is true that you can be whatever you want to be, and you can do whatever you truly desire to do. The problem is with this kid's situation is he was looking at what he thought others' desires were for him, and so he wasn't doing anything. And again, going back to the meditative practice, whose idea is that? Whose thought is that? Is so essential and so key, because we need to focus on what we truly desire, and that is essential in releasing the power of this concept. That know that as a man thinks in his heart, so he is. So start examining the inner dialogue, the thoughts, the things you tell yourself, and start telling yourself those things that you want to be true about yourself, that you truly desire to be true about yourself. And then here's the key: to act as if. Part of the power of Chaos Magic is this ability to separate the desire for the outcome and to remove ourselves from the desire of the outcome. That's the whole designed program, or the idea behind things like servitors and sigils and working with entities. We must release our desire for the results to come through. We must resist our desire, release our desire for manifestation. And that seems to run counterintuitive to the whole thing. But here's the key. You've got to understand that as long as it's a desire, we are still living in the past, looking towards a future and saying, I hope this comes true, I hope this comes true, I hope this comes true. So we're always looking for something outside to come in, and we're looking for the outside to change the inside. The alchemy comes when we start living as if. The moment I decided to stop saying, I desire to have a sustainable farm, and started living as if I had a sustainable farm, things started turning around. And there it is. As above, so below, as within, so without. Namaste.